Today I'll be going over 4 major concepts that we talked about in language literacy acquisition. 6 traits of writing in purple, balanced literacy in red, the writing process stages in green, and writing workshop components in blue. We're going to start with the 6 traits of writing. One trait of writing is voice. This is the personal tone that the writer gives to the paper. Conventions is the mechanics of writing. Word choice is the vocabulary that the student or writer chooses to use throughout their paper. Sentence fluency is how well the paper flows. For example, if a student is using run-on sentences or short, choppy sentences, the paper will not have good sentence fluency. Ideas is the main message or idea that the writer or student is trying to get through to the audience. Organization is how the information is placed in the paper. Moving on to balanced literacy, the first thing about balanced literacy is interactive writing. This is typically used with younger students, and it's when a teacher and a student are sharing pens, alternating while writing a word. For example, if you are writing the word monster, the teacher would write the word M, then the student would write the word O, or the letter O. Then the teacher would write the letter N, and the student would write the letter S until the word is complete. Shared writing is when the student says what to write while the teacher acts as a scribe and writes it down. Independent writing is when the student writes their own ideas on their own with no help. Moving on to the writing process stages, the first stage is called pre-writing. This is when the student or writer is planning out what exactly to write. For example, ideas. So for example, my student this semester used a web to plan out his story and what aspect or what components he was going to use in his story. The second stage is called drafting. This is the sloppy copy, which is the first draft that the student writes. The third stage is called revising. This is when the student or writer is reviewing the sentence structure and logistical layout of the paper. The fourth stage is called editing. This is the stage where students look at spelling, grammar, and convention errors. This is related to the 6 traits of writing conventions because it's only about the mechanics of writing. The 5th stage of the writing process is sharing. Students can share their writing with the class. The sixth stage of the writing process is publishing. Now, this is only an optional stage. Not every writing will be published. But when it is, this is going to be the finished writing that makes it official. So for example, our students this semester published their writing piece because we made it into a real finished book product. Moving on to writer's workshop components. Writing time is time set aside for students to write their ideas on their own. Think back to balanced literacy, independent writing. Both of these concepts are about having writing time for students to write on their own. A mini lesson is small, short lessons over certain things that the students are struggling with. For example, if you give a kindergartner a short lesson on rhyming. Sharing time is time for students to show other students their work. For example, our students this semester reading their story to their friends. Sharing time of the writing workshop components and sharing of The writing process stages are very similar in those ways. Thank you for listening today.